Los Angeles is still under siege, not by a foreign army, not by natural disaster, by its own citizens, enabled by its own leaders, its governor, its mayors, cheered on by its own media. Now, what started as a protest became riots, but we all know that was the original intent, okay? When they say peaceful protest or mostly peaceful protest, what they mean is riots, degradation, devastation, destruction, the power of the sun waged on to one of the most beautiful cities and states in this country. What began as a riot then became warfare. Cops hospitalized with brain injuries, businesses looted and buried, helicopters targeted with lasers, freeways turning into killing fields. But here is the sickest part. The mayor calls these terrorists protesters. The media calls them activists. The district attorney apologizes while charging them. They are literally throwing rocks at officers' heads. And CNN, guys like Jim Acosta and all the flunkies at CNN, they want you to sympathize with the rock throwers. This isn't protest. This is a riot. This is insurrection. And only one man has the spine to stop it. Now, when cities burn and order collapses, smart Americans protect what matters most, their wealth and future. But that's why savvy investors turn to BioTrust's ageless multi-collagen during chaotic times. While rioters destroy businesses and property, values plummet. This powerful formula helps preserve what time and stress try to steal: your youth, your vitality, your confidence. 5 types of collagen from 4 premium sources, hydrolyzed for maximum absorption. No GMOs, no artificial ingredients, just pure rejuvenation. Because when society crumbles, your health becomes your greatest asset. Visit healthwithgary.com. That is healthwithgary.com for 51% off. Invest in yourself while others invest in destruction. Now, Los Angeles has descended into chaos, and the footage they don't want you to see tells the real story. Not the protests, not demonstrations, organized violence against law enforcement and civil society. Watch what your media calls peaceful protesters. Really, it's just terrorists hurling rocks at officers with the intent to kill them. Take a look.
Get down! Get down!
Oh! Oh, he got fucked. Oh! Fuck yeah! Oh my God, he got fucked. Oh, he's fucked. Gotcha, bitch!
Degenerates. These aren't protesters. These are murderers in training. Each rock thrown at an officer's skull is an attempted homicide. But Mayor Bass, Acosta's butt buddy, calls them concerned citizens. The criminals grew bolder. This video shows the complete breakdown of respect for law enforcement that Bass cultivated with her anti-cop rhetoric. Compliments of our mainstream media. Take a look.
What's your badge number, homeboy? What's your badge number, homeboy? You're a bitch. Straight up, you a bitch.
What's your badge number?
I want to be White man.
What's your badge number?
What's the badge number, bitch?
What's your badge number?
Stay inside. Stay inside. Do not come out.
Look at how emboldened they are. I mean, do you think any of them had like a father present in the home? Like any of these people? Do you think any of them did? If someone stuck a gun to my head and said, these people screaming and yelling in officers' faces, demeaning those who protect them, I would have to say no. You know, this is what happens when leaders like Bass treat cops as enemies instead of heroes. You know, the violence escalated systematically. Los Angeles DA Nathan Hochman details the organized nature of these attacks. This wasn't spontaneous anger, but coordinated terrorism. Take a look.
William Rubio is 23 years old. He has been charged with 2 felony counts of assault upon a police officer and 2 felony counts of using a destructive device to injure or destroy. Now let me describe the charges that have been alleged against Mr. Rubio. On the night of June 8th, there was a dumpster that was set on fire at 1st and Spring Street. Undercover officers observed Mr. Rubio allegedly throwing fireworks at the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Los Angeles Police Department personnel who responded to put the fire out. Mr. Rubio left the scene, but was spotted 30 minutes later, allegedly throwing fireworks at Los Angeles Police Department motor officers who were on a skirmish line. He was arrested, and when he was arrested, in his backpack, they found 20 individual fireworks.
Let's go back just real quick to the first segment, okay? We're talking about about 2 different kind of militants, okay? One, they're hardened warriors, and the other carry fireworks in their backpack, okay? You know, targeting firefighters to trying to save lives. This is domestic terrorism, period. But the thing is, they're just complete wusses. Like, do they truly think that bottle rockets are gonna save the day? Look, Mom, I'm saving the world. But watch how they minimize it. You know, the looting began immediately. I mean, this is hilarious. I mean, it's funny how, you know, they like to scream about the foibles and the evil of capitalism, and then they run into Apple Store trying to, like, you know, under the auspices of being protesters, you know, basically common thieves to cover up these basic crime. You know, like it's absolutely insane. The hypocrisy is absolutely crazy. Take a look at this riot. There's freedom fighters there. I mean, don't they realize that Apple has all of their devices on lock? I mean, whoever stole the device, they're going to find them. You know, like they could find them. Are they that stupid? Are they that uneducated? You know, hundreds of thousands in stolen merchandise, small businesses destroyed, and they have the temerity to walk into an Apple store, the place where they're literally just like, it's like, why don't you just grab an air tag? Just grab an air tag like a GPS, you know, like these communities are being shattered, and the media is calling it like some sort of rebellion. Like, this is not a rebellion. This is a bunch of angry, narcissistic children having temper tantrums. This is not a rebellion. You know, but the attacks turned pretty deadly. Okay. The DA revealed how terrorists targeting aircraft and they threw incendiaries at police vehicles on freeways. Like people are getting, like, this is turning deadly. Take a look.
Antonio De La Rosa, age 44. He's been charged with one felony count of discharging a laser at an aircraft. On the night of June 12th, Mr. De La Rosa has been alleged to be in the area of a protest in San Pedro. He allegedly pointed a green laser at a Los Angeles Police Department helicopter several times. If convicted as charged, he faces up to 3 years in prison. Fourth defendant, Eddie Lee Baldwin, age 39. He's been charged with one felony count of second-degree commercial burglary. On the night of June 9th, Mr. Baldwin is accused of being among many dozens of people who forced their way into an Apple store in downtown Los Angeles to loot that store. He faces up to 6 years in prison.
Pointing lasers at police helicopters that can blind the pilot and crash the aircraft. That's how you're going to protest? This is attempted mass murder. And yet they're charged like it's some sort of act of vandalism, like, petty theft. The freeway attacks represent new levels of depravity. Listen to prosecutors describe the calculated attempt to murder officers with fire. Take a look.
On the night of June 8th, Mr. Palermo is accused of throwing a large rock at a California Highway Patrol vehicle from an overpass on the 101 freeway. He also allegedly lit an object on fire and threw it at a CHP SUV that was parked on the freeway. That vehicle caught fire. In this case, what you will hear is an anonymous tip from Crime Stoppers is what helped law enforcement identify, locate, and arrest Mr. Palermo.
Throwing flaming objects at police vehicles from overpasses. SUV caught on fire. Officers could have been literally burned alive. This is reminiscent of radical Islamic terrorism who behead people on camera and burn people alive in cages. Anonymous tips caught him. Citizens doing the job that leadership won't even do. But here's where it gets truly ugly. Jim Acosta and Mayor Bass don't just excuse this violence. They literally strategize about it in the most Machiavellian, sadistic way. Let's watch.
Well, and you make a good point about how the protesters behave out there and how they operate out there, because it seems to me that what Donald Trump has done in L.A. and what he's trying to do in other places is lay a trap. He's trying to set out a mousetrap. He puts the bait in the mousetrap to see if somebody will spring the mousetrap. And he wants an overheated response from protesters. And if you don't give it to him, then you deprive him of the oxygen that he needs on Fox and all these other places. It seems to me. I don't know. Maybe you might agree.
I think that is exactly right. And that has been my cry. Don't take the bait.
All right, let's stop. We watched this clip before, and it's important that we watch it again because it's important for this particular clip. Because he's providing tactical support and advice to terrorists with with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Of course, her name is Karen, a little bit on the nose, but whatever. Giving him the absolute go-ahead. We got leftist government and we got mainstream media working in cahoots to try to destroy this country from within, telling them how to more violently and more effectively avoid the consequences. This is liberalism. This is leftism. This is socialism. This is communism. Mayor Bass is playing the same game. After officers suffer concussions and hospitalizations, her own people, she pivots to attacking the officers. Watch this masterclass in victim blaming.
The one thing about Los Angeles, like many big cities, everything's on videotape. So you don't just rely on the body camera. There's multiple views. And we will do an after action report, and each of those episodes will be reviewed. The other thing that needs to be reviewed, though, are the injuries to the officers, which is often not talked about. And so we know that a number of officers had to go to the hospital. There were reports of concussions and the behavior of the people who were protesting. Now, I believe very strongly that anybody that was involved in violence, anybody that was involved in vandalism, really do not care about immigrants, because they would understand that if they were really concerned about the rights of immigrants, they would not do things that would just invite more involvement from the federal government. How is that helping the cause of the people who are so fearful of their own government right now?
She can't even be bothered to give like basic platitudes to her own law enforcement. She can't even be bothered with it. You know, the behavior of the people who were protesting, not rioting, not attacking, not throwing bricks, not throwing Molotov cocktails. And then she immediately questions the officer's response while admitting that they were hospitalized. This is pure and utter narcissistic gaslighting. Federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy explains why Trump's National Guard deployment isn't just justified, it's constitutionally required when the local leaders abandon their duty. Let's take a look.
When the president is protecting federal responsibilities, federal facilities, or federal personnel, he's on very strong ground to do what needs to be done in order to carry out those missions.
When mayors and governors refuse to protect federal facilities and personnel, the president must act. That's his job. It's not authoritarianism. It's not dictatorship. It's not fascism. It is his constitutional duty. That is why we hired him. That is why we elected him. But the pattern is clear. Violent mobs attack police with rocks, fireworks, and lasers. Not exactly the most technological way to carry out a war, but listen, this is the path they chose. But we have officers hospitalized with brain injuries. We got businesses looted, cities burning. And the response from local leadership? Blame the cops, coddle the criminals, coach the terrorists on better terrorism tactics. What a putz. This isn't incompetence. This is complicity. Karen Bass, and it's a little on the nose. Her name is a little on the nose. She knows that these aren't protesters. Acosta knows they're not activists. They are violent criminals using a political cover to destroy American Western civilization from within. But in not acknowledging that would mean that Trump has been right about everything that he's trying to do, about employing this law and order. They would have to acknowledge that he's right. So they play semantic games. They try to gaslight us. They debate terminology while our cities burn, while our businesses burn. They discuss the root cause while helicopters dodge laser attacks designed to literally like send airplanes and helicopters into the ground to kill people. But then again, leftists have never had a problem with murdering people en masse. You know, the criminals understand this dynamic perfectly. They know Bass won't prosecute them seriously. They know the media are going to defend them. That's why they do it. That's why you don't see this happening all the time in Florida. Okay? As we stated last night, DeSantis made it explicitly clear, you step in front of my car, I can run you over. You step in front of my car and you try to mob my car while I'm trying to drive my son or daughter home from school or work, pedal to the metal, baby. See, in California and Los Angeles, they know they can throw rocks at cops' heads, and CNN will ask why did they get so... They're going to ask what made them so angry that they just had to do it. It's a permission structure for violence signed and sealed by leadership that values leftist ideology over the innocent lives of our bravest citizens, the people who go out there and enforce our laws. Now, Trump's National Guard deployment isn't overreach. You know what it is? It's overdue. When local leaders won't protect citizens, looking at you, Karen Bass, federal authority has to step in. That's what they are there for. When mayors side with mobs over merchants, presidents must restore order. That's why we elected him in the first place. When media coaches violence, instead of condemning it, someone has to stand for our civilization. Otherwise, it is going to crumble. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribed. My final thought is coming next. This is about choosing civilization or chaos. When rocks fly at police officers' skulls, leaving them with concussions, when lasers target aircraft, when mobs loot with impunity, that's not protest. That's terrorism. That's war against ordered society. Imagine what happens if all of that falls down. And Los Angeles has shown what it means when leaders not just surrender, but actively support the insurgents. Mayor Bass sides with thugs over cops, and the media is providing tactical advice to terrorists. Here's looking at you, Acosta. District attorneys apologize while charging attempted murderers. They create a blueprint for urban collapse, excuse violence, blame victims, and they repeat it until nothing remains but ashes. You know, these people are so power hungry, they'll burn the entire place to the ground as long as they can rule the ashes. Trump's National Guard deployment isn't authoritarianism. It's the last line of defense when local leaders join the mob. Literally. Every American city watches Los Angeles and asks, are we next? Will our leaders protect us or protect those who want to destroy us? You know, the answer determines whether America is going to remain a republic of laws or becomes a wasteland of mob rule, a third world. You know, when we talk about our espresso machines, that's a first world problem. We talk about our iPhones and stuff. Those are first world problems. But if we see this through, this is going to go downhill pretty fast. Now, question. Should attacking police with rocks be charged as attempted murder? Yes or no? Show where you stand. Grab our merch linked below.